Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Bayside Chats. I'm Natasha Welingkar, and this week, Stephen and I chatted with Trevor Hildenberger, who you may know as a right-hand pitcher who spent some time in the Giants minor league system. He was also in the majors with the Twins and the Mets, and we had a conversation with him about unionizing the minors, what he's doing now that he's not in baseball anymore, and much, much more. Hope you stay tuned and enjoy it. Thank you.
First of all, we appreciate you, sitting down and chatting with us.
Of course, this is really nice.
Yeah, and I guess we could start because a lot of Giants fans know you. And it might not be in a way that is normal, right? Like a lot of people have favorites on the field that they see on TV, but a lot of fans know you from Twitter. And you're pretty familiar with a lot of Giants fans, and they know you as, T. Hildy or Hildy. I know we were wondering, how does that relationship kind of start? And how did that relationship start? How did you kind of become friendly with Giants fans on social media?
Well, when I got claimed by the Giants in 2021, it's announced on different MLB rumor sites or whatever. And so I think Giants fans saw that I was coming to the Giants and then commented on that, and whether they expressed a sigh or some excitement, I tried to engage with them just because it's nice to have a little community of fans. So tried to communicate with people on Twitter, and if our Twitter vibes align, then people kind of sync up.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot for Giants fans, I think.
Yeah. Also, they're probably really excited that, you're coming back to the Bay Area. Was that something that, you felt when you were playing?
For sure. I had played most of my career on, the other side of the Mississippi. I was born and raised in San Jose. As you know, went to Cal. And then once I got drafted, I haven't been able to play in California. So when I got claimed by the Giants, it was my first time with spring training in Arizona, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then first time playing on the side of the Mississippi. So playing in Sacramento was perfect. It's 2 hours away from my home. My parents could see me. My daughter could see me. Obviously see my wife and the whole family a lot more. So it was ideal. And also, I grew up a Giants fan, right? I grew up going to Candlestick, so it was kind of a full circle moment. At this point in my career, I had seen the business side of it, so it was a little bit less romantic, but definitely exciting. And the prospect of playing in AT&T was really motivating, even though it never happened. It was still pretty awesome.
How often did you make the trip to Oracle Park? Was that kind of a few times a summer? Was that all the time?
It was a few times a summer. Like I said, I grew up going to Candlestick, and I was at the Brian Johnson game, which is one of my core memories that really made me fall in love with baseball. My dad he pulled me out of school. It's the middle of September. He pulled me out of school. We sat up in the top deck in dead center field. And I remember using binoculars and watching Rod Beck pitch out of a top of the ninth or top of the 10th, maybe, bases loaded, no outs jam, and then Brian Johnson hitting a walk-off homer and them clinching the West. Or going 2 games up or something. Made it really easy for them to make the playoffs after that. So that was really a core memory of mine. And then going to Oracle once it opened up in 2000, I went to a 2002 NLCS game where Kenny Lofton sent us to the World Series. So that was really cool. That was my first. I was 11, and everyone in the stadium was chanting Morris sucks, Morris sucks. And I was oh my God, can you say that? And yeah, it was Matt Morris pitching for the Cardinals. That's the context there, if people don't know.
Who became a Giant later.
Did he really?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so that was another core memory. But I would come maybe 5 or 6 times a summer. It was my favorite thing, but it was kind of a treat. We mostly come to day games, and Bonds would never play day games after night games. So I came in 2001 a couple times, and never saw a home run of his because he was always having the day off, which is a bummer.
Did you have a favorite player?
Bonds.
Bonds.
Yeah,
Without a
Bonds.
doubt.
without a doubt. JT Snow, Jeff Kent, Rich Aurelia. I really loved Marvin Bernard, like Kirk Reeder, Sean Estes, and then a little bit later, like Ray Durham, Jason Schmidt, Russ Ortiz. So, like, yeah, all those guys.
Classics.
Anybody who played for the Giants was pretty much, like, my hero.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I really loved Marvin Bernard. I think I just like saying his name.
It's a good name.
Marvin.
Menard.
Yeah, Bernard. And he's still affiliated with the Giants, I think. He's an announcer, so.
Oh, is he really?
Some of those guys, I think, are around spring training a lot. So have you, like, do you have a favorite, like, in baseball in your career, do you have a favorite, I met someone I grew up watching moment that stands out?
When I was drafted and I was a minor league player, and you're, like, walking around the complex, and you see people that, like Torrey Hunter, like, still 8-time Gold Glover, like, still very prominent at the height of his career, I kind of got starstruck. And then as I got older and those people are more common and you interact with them, they're just like, oh, this is just some guy. They're all just some guy who's happened to be good at baseball. And so after that, it wasn't super intimidating, or like, I wasn't a big autograph person. But then I saw Peter Gammons in person for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, that's Peter Gammons. And I just grew up watching him, you know, do the ESPN games and like doing playoffs and doing really big stories. So that was like I see. Me and Peter Gammons are in the same clubhouse, like talking about the same stuff. I never interacted with him, but that was like a big moment.
You're coming, meeting us after work.
Yeah.
How does it feel just reflecting on your career and baseball and where you are now? And
Yeah, I retired, forcibly retired, like 7 months ago now. And honestly, being home in the summer was awesome. I got 2 kids now. I got a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. And being able to spend time with them in the summer, like really concentrated time, was something I haven't been able to do in like a long, long time, 15 years. My kids aren't that old, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But to have like stretched out months of just being able to spend time with my family was really nice, especially in warm weather. It's not like rainy and cold every time. But after about 3 or 4 months, I was like, okay, I need to sink my teeth into something. Like, I got to stretch my legs. So luckily found a job. It still is a contingent role, but I really like it, and hopefully I can convert to full-time. When I look back on my career, it stings, because I still want to play. And I want to play. Baseball's always going to be a part of my life. But, you know, I wanted to play as long as they could until I got the jersey ripped off my back. And I feel like I did that. But you always want to play longer. I'm sure even if I played until I was 45, I'd want to play longer. But, like, I'm very proud of the people that I connected with and still am in touch with from my baseball life. And I like rooting on all my friends, like Marcus Semien got to win a World Series, Mitch Garver got to win a World Series, guys that I either played with in college or grew up with, climbing through the minor leagues in the Twins organization. But yeah, like maybe next year will be different, like not going to spring training, but still be going to spring training this year, and now feeling like this should be the start of my lifting program. My throwing program will start in like next month. I should be conditioning, I should be doing this, and I'm working 11 hours in an office. I'm just like, it kind of stings.
You said forced off. Like, do you want to go deeper into that? Like,
well, I was just not performing at a high enough level to keep my job, so I got released and then listened on other offers, but nothing really materialized, and I was pretty tired. I was really tired, and like I said, spending time with my family was like really alluring, because my wife's been taking care of the kids for every season I've been gone, so to give her a little break is nice too.
Do you feel like there's an avenue back to MLB or like professional baseball or semi-professional or?
Yeah, I mean, I stay involved in the game. I was pretty involved in the unionization efforts, and so I'm in contact with the union and the MILB PA as they move forward. They're moved closer to their yearly executive board meeting at the end of this month. I'm just trying to, you know, stay in touch and keep on top of topics that are affecting players, and maybe my relationships with guys who... I was in rehab for the last year with the Giants, so I know a lot of guys from when they were drafted, to where they are now in their careers, like younger guys and also people that I played with and against, maybe in their early 30s. So I did have a lot of connections, and I'm still involved with baseball. Is there an avenue back? Not coaching. That's not for me. But maybe some other role. I'd love to keep the game in my life. You're going to be a former player a lot longer than you're going to be a current player. And you try to keep that in mind when you're a current player so that you like absorb what's going on and really enjoy the moment. And I tried to do that, but when you're a former player, you're like, damn, can I be a current player again?
Did you ever get a chance to like relay that message to some of the young guys? Because you just mentioned that you know a lot of the young guys that are just coming up. Did you get a chance to have kind of a veteran wisdom and telling them that same message?
Yeah, I tried to make that impression on people, like, enjoy this. Really, really enjoy, because there's nothing like a clubhouse. Like, that workspace is very unique for good and bad reasons. But being in the bullpen with your boys and, like, enjoying a sunset and watching a game unfold and then participating in it and playing the game at a high level is really, really enjoyable, because you know you're playing with the best players against the best players, and when you execute your job that you prepared your entire life for, like months and months and months of work, and it comes to a crucial moment and you perform, there's no feeling like it. I miss the adrenaline rush of like busting through the bullpen door.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned earlier, like, I guess we could hop into this. You mentioned earlier kind of like baseball locker rooms, and there could be some good things and bad things about them. I guess first of all, what were the good things about the baseball locker room culture? And
I think people bond a lot over shared experience, and professional baseball season is very long and grueling and really hard on the body, and sometimes really hard on your mental health, because you feel a lot of pressure to perform, and you feel like if you're not succeeding, you're letting yourself down or your family down, or you're not providing for people, or you get traded or you get DFA'd or you get released and then signed somewhere else. You can move a lot within a season. So there are a lot of hardships, and like when you communicate that with people who are going through the same thing, or have gone through the same thing, you can create really special, powerful bonds and friendships. So that was a really, really cool experience. As for the bad things, like, they're not all the greatest people. As you know, you don't like every coworker you've ever worked with. And that's especially true in a clubhouse for me. You're not going to see eye to eye on every topic.
Yeah.
I didn't see eye to eye with my teammates on a lot of topics, but I think sometimes it's just important to remember that you're all pulling towards the same goal. If you have a lot of friction with somebody or with a group of people, you're all trying to win games, or you're all trying to get to the big leagues. Yeah. And you really don't need to be combative with everybody that you come across with.
Is that like social issues, what's happening outside of the baseball world, or is it like baseball world stuff?
No, social issues. I mean, baseball world stuff. Maybe there's like some grumpy people about, how the organization treated me, or I'm being asked to throw this pitch. I've never thrown this pitch before. I'm being asked to do this because the analytics say I should do this, but I'm not feeling comfortable with that, and they can be really sour. And then that sourness, especially in AAA, because AAA is maybe every level, but AAA especially is like, everyone's pissed off. Everyone is really close to the big leagues, and they all think that they deserve a shot, or that they're better than the person in front of them. And that's sort of the mentality you have to have as a professional athlete. If you don't have that confidence and arrogance, it's not super beneficial. But a AAA clubhouse can be a pretty bitter place. And then people voice their opinions about social issues that, maybe aren't the most open-minded or welcoming. And then you get to the big leagues and people have a lot of money and have a lot of stature, and their ego grows even bigger. And so, like, there's sometimes some big personalities at clubhouses that aren't the most fun to be around.
Are there cliques?
Sometimes, if teams have, like, you've been together with a certain, core group of players in an organization for a long time, I'm sure they're really good friends. But 98% of players that I ever played with were always friendly and welcoming, and no one was like a true dickhead. Not no one, but only a couple.
Yeah.
how did you have time to be excited and like interested and passionate about this, and like where did that come from, and do other current baseball players have the time to be like reading about these issues and caring about it? And
I don't know. I think when I don't know if people have time. That's what I should say. I don't know if I can't speak for other people and how they manage their time and what they have going on. When I was away at season and my family wasn't with me, you do have free time. Before you go to the field at 1 p.m. in the mornings, scrolling Twitter like we talked about, I'm pretty chronically online. Or after the game, you're up at night, or you're riding a bus or a plane, you're just scrolling and reading current events. So it's things that I care about and I'm passionate about. I think coming out of college, I didn't understand my place in the labor landscape or like how I fit into a capitalist society. But like, I got drafted, I got paid $1,000 signing bonus as a fifth-year senior. It was like $571 after taxes. I broke my phone the first week in Florida. I had to get a new phone, and I was broke. And they made you stay in these dorms that they had built. It was non-negotiable unless you owned property in Florida. And, of course, they didn't pay me enough money to, like, own property in Florida. $17 a day that they charged you. I was making, at the end of every 2 weeks, I got paid $185. It was worked out to be about $2.14 an hour. Don't check my math. So yeah, it was pretty like upsetting. I'm like, I'm working really hard. I'm grinding out here. It's 100 degrees. We're playing noon games in Florida. I'm dying. Like, I need to be compensated fairly. Everyone deserves to be compensated fairly. And then, like, spring training, I learned was unpaid. Things that nobody tells you till you get into professional baseball. Instructs were unpaid. They didn't cover supplements. They didn't cover training or gym fees. They didn't give you baseballs to throw with in the off season. You provide your own equipment, even though the job should really provide you some basic level of equipment. And so that opened my eyes. 2020, the COVID year, not paying minor leaguers, radicalized me even more. Save America's Pastime Act, which I think was slipped into the Omnibus Bill 2018, was pretty upsetting because you could see on paper what MLB argued, that we were seasonal part-time apprentices. Not full-time workers, definitely not fucking employees. We're seasonal part-time apprentices that could generate millions of dollars in revenue, once you reach the major leagues. So it just seems they wanted to disparage minor league players at every turn that they got, but know that the game is built off minor league players. I mean, almost every single player plays in the minor leagues at some point. Maybe Shohei Ohtani and a couple other Japanese players come in and go straight to the big leagues, but the minor leagues is just big leaguers who aren't good enough yet. They're missing one tool or two tools, and the rest of the guys who are trying to be that one guy who gets the shot. But I forget the point of that question. Sorry.
just more about like what got you into caring about it, and like.
Yeah, selfishly my own experiences.
We've just unionized minors. We've talked a little bit about like social issues, not necessarily everyone seeing eye to eye, but do you feel like labor unions could be a good first step to potentially people in Major League Baseball opening their minds a little bit more about other social issues?
Yeah, I hope so. I think maybe some players who felt that a union was a win and right for us, but not for other people, or maybe don't think about the labor landscape at large and their place in it, and really understand their role as a worker and as a laborer. I hope that the unionization process encourage guys to learn and to read, or to like be more involved and support, when hotel workers go on strike, that like, oh, we should stay in a different hotel. We don't want to cross that picket line. Be conscious of that. Starbucks workers, Amazon, UPS. I mean, look at the labor landscape over the past year. A lot of W's, I think. I should just say wins, not W's. Anyways. I hope that people don't... Guys, if they were talking out both sides of their mouth, like, yes, unionization is good for us, but not for everybody. I think that's hypocritical, and I hope people will educate themselves. And I closed for a couple months of my career, but like I wasn't that at the end. I was like if I was in the big leagues, it'd be like